Hi friends, it's Lori from Cuyamaca College, and we're still reading Same Song Here by Silas House and Neela Vishwani. Today we are on page 176. We're going to read page 176 through 191. 25th December 2008. So what day is December 25th? December 25th is Christmas. So today is Christmas, and River is going to write to Mina because it says, Dear Mina. So River is writing a letter to Mina. Dear Mina, it is Christmas morning and the house is real quiet since everybody is still in bed. So I thought I'd write you. We open our presents on Christmas Eve. So all that is left to do today is open the stockings. The stockings is where Santa Claus puts the presents. Then later this afternoon, we would usually have Christmas dinner, but not this year since we're going to the hospital to visit the boys who are still in there. So from the accident that happened with the boulder rolling down the hill and crashing into the school, there are still boys in the hospital that were injured from that. I guess there's not much use in telling you all about it because the whole country knows about it now. People at the big businesses get away with anything until the news gets involved. Mama says it's only because a school is part of the story. And it also makes for a good Christmas time story because it's sort of a miracle that we all weren't all killed. She says that they'll forget all about this until the next time something like this happens. Mama says that mountain people get rediscovered every once in a while, but usually only when something bad happens. So that means no one thinks about the people that live in Kentucky in the mountains until there's an accident or something terrible happens. When my parents were little, there was a big mudslide caused by the coal company that killed 125 people. But people have forgotten about that too, although everybody was mad about it at the time. Mama says that people don't really care about people here because they think we're a bunch of stupid hillbillies who are looking for a handout. She said you'd understand that better than anybody because people think that immigrants are all looking for a handout too. So those are both stereotypes about hillbillies and immigrants. People looking for a handout. That means give me money, give me money, give me money, and I don't want to work. That's a handout. She said that the stereotype is that Indians are smart, though, and either real poor or real rich. So that's a stereotype. Mama says the bad part is that people reduce us, hillbillies and Indians, down to some kind of little generalization. So generalization is the same as a stereotype. They take a big group of people and they say they're all like this. Okay, or they take one thing and they say all Indians are like this. All hillbillies, one example, are like this. These are her words. They sort of make sense to me though. Anyway, I'll try to make this quick as possible. We have to practice basketball even during Christmas break, which sucks. But coach is pretty cool, and I really do think he makes us work so hard just because he cares about us. So we were at basketball practice and we'd been there about an hour. Had a pretty hard workout. Skins versus shirts. That means some kids had shirts on and some kids did not have shirts on. Then all at once, it felt like there was a big earthquake. We have them here sometimes. The biggest one I've ever felt was a 6.5 on the Richter scale. This felt way stronger than that. We knew that they were blasting up on the mountain because we'd felt little tremors all day long, like it was running right under the hardwood of the gym floor. But this was 1,000 times stronger than that. I truly thought the floor would stand up in front of us. It was like we all froze, not knowing what to do. Then we heard the first big rock slam into the side of the gym. My first thought was that a car had run into the wall. It hit so hard the wall buckled. I could see it in slow motion as the crack ran up on the ceiling and caused some of the humongous lights and rafters to fall. One of them fell right on Paul Jenkins, right across his chest. I thought for sure he was dead, but it turns out he just broke his ribs. Then the big boulder came right through the side door. It took out the door and parts of the wall around it and rolled right across the floor toward Mark. He just stood there. I hollered, "Run!" as loud as I could. Later, I found out that I had hollered so loud it hurt my throat. It's still a little sore. Just when I said that, Mark jumped back, but not completely in time because the rock just smashed his leg. He passed out as soon as his leg was flattened. I started to run to him, but a big rafters are the beams in the ceiling, fell right between us, and I thought for sure he was a goner. He thought that Mark was dead. Coach too, because I had seen him running toward Mark, screaming and waving his arms. Then I figured out that I should run too, because it seemed like the whole ceiling was caving in, coming down. I could hear the other boys behind me hollering, yelling, screaming. But it was like they were way down in a well somewhere. They sounded so far away. So we ran out the door on the other side, and I looked up, and it seemed like every bit of Town Mountain was rolling down to crush the school. So there was more rocks coming towards the school. All these big rocks and lots of real small ones, and a big wall of dirt. That's when Coach came running out with Mark in his arms. So he was carrying Mark. I swear, Mina, there were two big rocks that came so close to him that I bet he felt the wind off them. And then everything got real quiet. The strangest, deepest quiet I have ever known. Coach popped up and started counting everybody. He was like somebody wild. "Who am I missing?" he said, breathing hard, taking the fast spit, talking so fast, the spit was flying from his lips. Who's not here?" He kept saying, more to himself than us. But then I told him we were all here. 4 other boys were hurt pretty bad, but Mark was the worst. His leg looked like a piece of ragged meat, and his face was going blue. There was blood everywhere. I saw it spreading out in a big pool around his leg. He was moaning, with his eyes rolled in his back of his head, and one of his hands wouldn't stop shaking. I couldn't stop looking at his hand because it was freaking me out the way it kept shaking. And that's the last thing I remember for a while. Next thing I knew, there were all kinds of sirens. Then we were at the hospital and I passed out. They said I was in shock, but I got okay. They gave me a Coke and a Little Debbie, which made me feel better. I couldn't believe it, but my mom came to the hospital. I hadn't seen her out and about in ages, but there she was. I know this sounds crazy, but I had forgotten how she moved. I was so glad to see her up and walking on her own, to not be lying down in bed with a washcloth on her forehead, that my first thought was that this was all worth it. I felt bad later thinking that, especially because Mark may never walk again, and they might even have to amputate his leg, although that's not in the papers yet. Amputate means cut off. Mom ran in with Mama close behind. Mom ran over and wrapped me in her arms, and then tears were just streaming down her face like waterfalls. But I didn't cry. I was so happy to see her, but I was numb too. I don't know how to explain it, but I thought this is how a rock feels all the time. So he was in shock, right? His body did not know what to do. I guess people would say rocks don't feel, but not feeling is kind of a feeling too. Does that make any sense? Then Dad came running him in, and I've never seen him so scared. He was pale as a ghost. And once he saw that I was all right, he actually had to run in the little bathroom there in the emergency room and throw up. Being scared messes with people in different ways, I reckon. Some of the boys are still in the hospital, and all the news crews are camped out down there. I mean, everybody. NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, every one of them. So that's all the news stations, the news channels on TV. Mama has been on all of them, right? Mama's talking about this problem. Have you seen her? You'd know it was her instantly, especially since her last name is Justice, just like mine, Nellie Justice. I guess you don't really know her name since I always called her Mama, but that's her. Dad says she was giving them hell, right? She was yelling and angry. Mama and this bunch of people she works with called Kentuckians for the Commonwealth are planning a big march on the state capitol. There are movie stars and singers and writers coming to the march too, right? So she's protesting, she's doing her activism. She's going to march with her sign, go to the government. But mostly just regular people and even coal miners. You won't believe it, but my mom and dad are going too. Mama has everybody all fired up, motivated. Let's go. She has been on the phone nonstop since it happened. Since all the rocks fell, it is easier to see how much of Town Mountain they've taken. Used to be you really couldn't see all the damage from down in the valley, but now it's just gone. The mountain is gone. It makes me sick. I have thought of you many times throughout all of this and wondered what you were seeing on the news about it. I know it's a big news story, but I wonder how much you've seen. Let me know. They wanted to put me on the news, but my parents said no. They have been showing the picture of the whole basketball team, so you might have seen me that way. It's weird to be on the news like that. Every time we turned on the TV for a couple days, there I was in that group picture. Then they show the gym with all the rocks piled up against it. On one channel, they have made up special music for when they talk about us. And they have this big movie title that glides onto the screen that says Christmas Miracle in Kentucky. Mom says this is ridiculous for the news to have theme music. She has been better since all of this happened. I don't know why, but anyway, now we just don't even turn the television on. How are you, Mina? I am so sick of talking about all this that I would much rather hear what's going on with you. I still think about your daddy and feel bad for you. I hope you are not too sad. Still, I hate to think of you being sad. It started snowing yesterday, and I thought of what you said about your grandmother being in the snow and the sunshine. To answer your question, no, Rufus doesn't come in when it's cold. He's a country dog and would freak out if we brought him in the house. One time he ran into the house because he was scared of a thunderstorm that was coming. He heard it before we did, But then he got even more scared to be walking on the linoleum, so he ran back out and ran under the porch and wouldn't stop shivering for the rest of the night. So Rufus is an outdoor dog because he's a country dog. In all the excitement, I guess I haven't really told you about Dad coming home. He had only been home a couple days when the rock fall happened. So he only came home a few days before the accident at River School. So I haven't been with him the way I would have regularly. But the first couple days were real good. When he came in, I realized how much I had missed him, and I hugged him so hard I hurt his neck. "Whoa there now, little man," he said. "You're going to break me in two." I had forgotten that he called me little man sometimes, right? So he hugged him so hard, his father was worried he was going to break him. When he went to see Mom, he kissed both of her eyes and whispered, "Oh, how I have missed those pretty, pretty green eyes." But later on that night, when I was supposed to be sleeping, but was finishing the new Spider-Man instead, I heard them arguing. Their words were muffled through the wall, but I could tell by the way the words bounced around that they were fighting. She was in the hospital until about a week before the rockfall and wasn't doing much better, really, until the rockfall. She hasn't had a headache since. There's one more question I needed to answer. I only listen to Here Comes the Sun when I'm alone because it makes me sad, even though it's a happy song. I don't know why it makes me sad. It just does. I know I'm weird, but I can be weird with you. Remember, we can be our true selves with each other. So they use the adjective true to describe themselves. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. Write me as soon as you can. Yours truly, Riverdene Justice. So that's the end of the letter. Oh, and then on the next page, he has a PS. PS, what I said on December 7th was, "Hi, so did you hear me?" And on December 10th at 9:07, I believe I heard you say, "I am here, Riverdene Justice. It's me, Mina." At least that's what I thought I heard. And later that evening, I thought you said to me in my head, "Did you hear what I said earlier?" So I think we do have telepathy. Let me know if these are the messages you sent me. So they're trying to send each other messages with their brains, telepathy. Okay, on page 187, we have Mina writing, and it's January 7th, so it's after Christmas. It's after New Year's, January 7th, 2009, and we have Mina writing to River. "Dear River, Happy New Year. Everyone is so glad you are okay. Mom did a special Arthi for you, and I have been sending lots of telepathic messages. Are you still needing Little Debbie's to feel better? What kind of medicine is that?" So that's funny. She thinks Little Debbie's is medicine, but Little Debbie's are little cakes or little cookies. So that's why they're helping him feel better. It's not medicine. I am writing tiny so I can fit it on the back of this flyer. I have just finished hanging 20 of them up around school. I drew the picture and Carlos did the lettering. The show goes up next week. Remember, her school is doing a play, Chicago, and this show is going to start next week. How is your friend Mark? I hope he still has both his legs. I hope he is not in pain. We did see your mama on TV. I knew it was her from her last name and from what she was saying. And because I don't know, I just knew. In the group photo, I think you are the boy, the smiling boy with freckles at the end of the row. Am I right? When the photo came on TV, I jumped up and pointed and said, "That's River. I know that's him." And Mrs. Yao Lau yelled at me for getting fingerprints on the screen, all over the screen. It was so scary to find out from TV. I was watching the news with Mrs. Lau in Cuba, and then all of a sudden there was Town Mountain looking like something had taken a bite out of it. It was terrible to see the trees knocked over and your school squashed flat. When the news lady said boys from the basketball team were hurt, I got so scared I couldn't breathe. I can't believe all of this has happened to you. We watched the story on TV for 3 days. Mrs. Lau cursed in Chinese whenever that man who owns the coal company came on. She said he was greedy and had a liar's chin. I didn't know you could have a liar's chin. For the past week, there hasn't been anything on about your school. Now all the stories are about Obama's inauguration and the subway fare hike. So that means the price of the subway went up. Since Vanessa and her baby got kicked out of the building, Mrs. Lau has been picking up Vanessa's newspaper from the vestibule. She cut out all the articles on Town Mountain, and Mom let me put the picture of your basketball team on the fridge. I started saying, "Hi, River," every time I opened the fridge. Then Kiku started doing it too, to make fun of me. And now everyone does it. Even Mommy Daddy. Not like it's funny, just like it's something that's part of opening the fridge around here. So every time she opens the refrigerator, she says, "Hi, River," because River's picture is on her refrigerator from his basketball team. I have read your letter 5 times to myself and once out loud in Miss Bledsoe's class. Don't worry, just the part where you describe the rocks coming down. There are 7 other kids from the summer program in class, but nobody but me is still writing to their pen pal. They were all surprised that we were best friends, but we have never ever met. Miss Bledsoe said that's what happens when you find a kindred spirit. So kindred means kind, so they have the same kind of spirit, kindred. Where are you going to school now? I'm sorry about all the bad things that happened, but it is good that your mom got out of bed and your daddy came home, and that people are listening to your mama and helping her fight. It's like everything you've been praying for has come true. I feel like we have been through some very hard times together. I am almost out of page. Sorry, this is so tiny. I will write more soon. Be safe, Riverdene Justice. I am thinking of you and Town Mountain. Your kindred spirit, Nina. Now we have a letter on January 15th, 2009 from River to Mina. I have an R on the top of my pages, so I know that River wrote this letter to Mina. Dear Mina, this will be short because I have so much homework to make up. Miss Stidman is making us write another poem, so I am going to practice by making this letter like a poem. So here it goes. Here are the answers to your letter. Little Debbie's are not medicine. They're little cakes. We are going to school in the Lost Creek Church of God now. It's weird to be going to school there. We are in the basement, which is damp and cold all the time and smells like summer Bible school. I liked how your teacher said we were kindred spirits. I looked up that on MW.com, that's a dictionary online, and it says that means we are related spirits, like family who is not blood family. I told Mama this, and she said, sometimes that's the best family of all. There, that seems like a good place to end the poem. I actually kind of like writing them. It's fun to count up the syllables and think about where the best place is to make the line break so that there is a mystery. I guess I better run for now, but write to me when you can, please. What is an arti? You said your mom did one. I'm guessing it's like a prayer. I think that's a good guess. Later, Tater, River. So that's our reading for today. I hope you liked it.